It has been a record-setting week for U.S. airlines, with Thanksgiving air travel climbing to its highest levels ever. And now the major airlines are looking ahead to a new presidential administration in Washington, and they are dropping some big hints about what they would like to see. The CEO of United Airlines is the latest airline executive to speak out. NPR's Joel Rose talked with him earlier today, and Joel joins us now. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Elsa.
Okay, so what are airlines in general hoping to see once Trump is back in office?
Yeah, that depends on which airline you're talking about. Okay. For United, the top priority is getting more air traffic controllers on the job. CEO Scott Kirby says there's an ongoing shortage of controllers, which is leading to delays across the country, really. But one place where you can see this clearly is at United's hub in Newark, just outside of New York City. Kirby told me the shortage of controllers for Newark's airspace has been leading to big delays.
For the whole month of November, we had over 500,000 customers that were delayed because of air traffic control shortfalls in Newark alone. It is the biggest issue, the biggest opportunity to make air travel better for customers in the United States.
Kirby says the delays in Newark were actually a bit better over this recent Thanksgiving holiday period, and he commends the Federal Aviation Administration for doing the best it can. But Kirby says the FAA is about 3,000 air traffic controllers short of full staffing and just desperately needs more money.
Wow, 3,000 short. What is the FAA saying about that?
Well, the FAA has acknowledged the problem in Newark. The agency says in a statement that it's working to address a, quote, decades-long issue of staffing there. And the FAA has moved some jobs from Long Island to Philadelphia to try to improve that situation. But FAA Administrator Mike Whitaker says this is not going to solve the problem overnight. Here he is speaking at a recent press conference.
We work very closely with the airlines. They've understood that there were going to be some bumps in the road. They haven't been any worse than we anticipated, and the delays are actually down year over year.
In the bigger picture, the FAA is working to get more air traffic control trainees into the pipeline, both at its academy in Oklahoma City and at a handful of other colleges and universities. But all of that will take time to show results.
Sure. Okay, well, what about other airlines? Like, what are they looking for in the next administration?
Some of the other big carriers have said that they are looking forward to a more business-friendly climate. Under the current Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, the department has taken a more ambitious approach to regulating the airlines, passing new rules aimed at protecting consumers. For example, a rule that airlines must offer cash refunds when flights are canceled or significantly delayed. Mm-hmm. And the CEO of Delta Airlines, Ed Bastian, says the second Trump administration will be a, quote, breath of fresh air after what he called the government overreach of the Biden administration. And the head of C.O.W.S. Airlines has said he hopes the Department of Transportation will be a little more business-friendly and less aggressive in terms of regulating under the second Trump administration. It is worth noting, though, that both of those airlines have faced discipline from the Department of Transportation. C.O.W.S. drew a record fine after its big winter holiday meltdown back in 2022. And Delta is also under investigation for its own problems after a major IT outage this summer.
Right.
So maybe not a total coincidence that they are looking forward to this change of direction.
Maybe not total coincidence. All right, as we said, we are just coming out of a record holiday travel week. How did it go?
Yeah, this was the busiest Thanksgiving week for air travel ever, full stop. The TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, says more than 18 million people passed through airport checkpoints, up more than 4.5% from last year, and nearly 3.1 million on a single day on Sunday, which breaks the all-time single-day record. You know, and despite that huge volume, the system held up well. The FAA says on-time performance was great. Only 1.4% of flights were delayed. Even fewer were canceled, less than 0.5%. So despite some signs of strain, the system seemed to hold up to this big holiday rush. The next test, of course, is just around the corner.
I'm kind of impressed. That is NPR's Joel Rose. Thank you so much, Joel.
You're welcome.
School staff who work with students with disabilities sometimes get hurt by the students they serve. That can make it harder for school districts to hire special education staff, jobs that are already hard to fill. As Texas Public Radio's Camille Phillips reports, the staffing shortage in one district has made these jobs more difficult and more dangerous.
Margot Jimenez shows me around the yard outside her home on the outskirts of San Antonio.
So this is where I spend my time now, out, working on the yard, because this is something that my husband loved to do.
There's a memorial to her late husband, Fred Jimenez, by the tree line, a stone with his name engraved on it.
This is how I honor my husband for right now until I can get something more permanent.
Fred died in February at the age of 73. He worked for the Northside Independent School District in San Antonio as a special education instructional assistant, helping students with their learning and physical needs. Every so often, Margot says, her husband came home with injuries after being hurt by students.
One day he came home with a black eye, his glasses were broken, and he had bites on his arm. And I said, well, did you report it? He said, no. I said, why not? He said, Margot, because it happens all the time.
On February 7th, Fred was pushed by a high school student who has a cognitive disability. He fell and hit his head, and it led to a brain bleed and eventually Fred's death. This is an extreme case, but the situations Fred faced in the classroom are a common story.
No, it's not surprising.
Susan Dvorak McMahon is a psychology professor at DePaul University. She studies violence against educators and has conducted national surveys of educator experiences. Among her findings published last year, special educators are more likely to experience violence or aggression from students.
These issues have been going on for a while, and because we asked teachers about their worst, those most upsetting experiences, we read a lot of responses that are they're very difficult to read.
There isn't a lot of research on how often special educators are hurt at work, but a Pennsylvania study found special educators were nearly 3 times more likely to be physically assaulted by students. That's compared with general educators. The study was published in 2014.
I've had so many injuries.
Shri Kreisel used to work with Fred Jimenez. After he died, she and other colleagues filed an internal complaint with the Northside District. They allege that his death was part of a widespread pattern of student-caused injuries in special education classrooms.
I've had 3 concussions, 2 broke noses, stabbed in the stomach, numerous bites, scars from bites. And that's just kind of a normal thing, unfortunately.
Kreisel teaches middle schoolers with cognitive disabilities. For the past 15 years, she's worked in a classroom that's only for students with higher levels of need. She says she loves her students and doesn't blame them for hurting her. Many of them have their own triggers, and Kreisel does her best to learn them, but she isn't always able to avoid an outburst.
The student may be aggressive, but it doesn't mean they are targeting you because they hate you. It's usually something that has happened, and they might be nonverbal, they can't express it, and they just blow up.
And when they blow up, the teacher's complaint says, there isn't enough staff to address it. Exhibits full of photos and email exchanges paint a picture of how staffing shortages can lead to unsafe conditions and serious injuries. Boston University researcher Elizabeth Bettini studies special education. She says when it comes to students who are prone to aggressive behavior,
you really need 3 people to be involved because you need 2 people to be part of keeping the student safe, and then you need a 3rd one to collect data.
In other words, to document what's happening. But Kreisel says the district's staffing shortages means educators are sometimes alone in the classroom. The district acknowledges this does happen. District officials say they can't comment on the complaint while it is ongoing. However, Tracy Wernley, who oversees special education services for the district, agreed to answer more general questions. I started by asking about the death of Fred Jimenez.
Horrible accident that happened. Very well-loved instructional assistant in our district. So absolutely devastating.
A recent federal survey found that nationwide, special education vacancies are the most difficult for schools to fill. That's been true in Northside, and a big reason for that is money. Wernley says the special education money they get from the state and federal government isn't enough to cover their costs.
We spend a lot more than what we're given.
Northside starting pay is less than $16 an hour for instructional assistants. Wernley says they can't afford to pay more. But for a lot of people, that's not enough compensation for a job that involves managing everything from diaper changes to violent outbursts to hands-on instruction.
There are people that do that and do it with passion and love it, and there are people that it's just not for them.
Kreisel, the teacher who worked with Fred, knows money problems and staffing shortages are a challenge for districts everywhere. But it doesn't change her reality. She thinks she and her colleagues will continue to get hurt until the district hires more instructional assistants and pays them well enough that they're willing to stay.
I'm afraid what happened with Fred, people hear about that and they don't want to do this job. I mean, they can get paid more working at Chick-fil-A than being an instructional assistant.
She says she needs the district to know that special educators like her are getting hurt all the time. For NPR News, I'm Camille Phillips in San Antonio.
Why haven't you learned anything?
Today we learned a teacher certification cheating scandal is more widespread in our area than we first reported, going beyond just HISD.
Yeah, it turns out nearly a dozen other area districts may have employed teachers potentially tied to cheating. Jason Miles is live with what he's learned today. Hey, Jason.
Hey there, guys. Yeah, the TEA sent us a list of just over 100 teachers facing investigation. Ending up on the so-called do not hire registry is the most severe potential outcome. From the basketball court to a court of law, it's been more than a month since prominent Booker T. Washington coach Vincent Grayson was criminally charged as the alleged ringleader of a teacher certification cheating scandal.
It's estimated that 210 teachers have fraudulent certifications and that you received over $1 million during this scheme.
Prosecutors say Grayson and alleged co-conspirators made $2,500 a pop for helping educators get certified by cheating. Today, we got a list of 102 teachers the Texas Education Agency plans to investigate as of yesterday. While we're not revealing their names, the agency says they work or did work for these districts during the 2 previous school years. Houston, Cy-Fair, Katy, Conroe, Fort Bend, Pearland, and Alvin ISDs are among the area districts on the list. The most severe punishment for wrongdoing is permanent license revocation and being added to the so-called do not hire registry, which applies to any Texas public school. Houston Federation of Teachers President Jackie Anderson previously summed up what she thought about any teacher tied to the scandal.
Anybody who takes a route other than what's legal or ethical, it's very disappointing.
The TEA expects additional investigations to be opened as new information comes in. And in addition to the TEA's investigation, the criminal investigation is ongoing as well. In a new statement this afternoon, HISD saying in part that it's a shame that a handful of individuals allegedly tried to cheat the system. Reporting live in Houston, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
This time I'm walking to New Orleans.
About half of jobs in New Orleans are considered mid-skill. That means you need a high school degree, but probably not a bachelor's. It's good news for teenagers who don't want to go to college or need to start working. As Arbor Uhas reports, the city has a career center that's getting kids ready for all kinds of jobs that don't need a college degree.
The New Orleans Career Center has one main goal: connect local industries with highly trained young people to fill their open jobs. Jake Leghorn says the biggest piece of feedback he gets from employers is,
"This is amazing. I never knew an 18-year-old could do this. I never knew a young person could do this."
Leghorn is in charge of strategy for the center. It's an independent nonprofit that provides career and technical education to high schoolers and adults across the city. He taught in New Orleans schools for a decade and says he noticed a gap.
And I think that the connection with work, the connection with jobs, and the connection to the larger community was a place that we had to grow.
The center formed in 2017. Today, it's in the Treme, in a state-of-the-art facility that is itself a teaching tool. The guts of the building are exposed, so students learning building trades can work on water pipes, wires, and more.
I wanted to get out of the classroom, so I was excited to come and build stuff.
Landon Alexander started a 2-year program at the center his senior year. He says he knew early on that he didn't want to go to college because of student debt.
That's really the main reason why I didn't want to go, because I didn't want to be paying off student debt my whole life.
He wanted to pick up a trade, but had no idea which one. When he arrived, he'd never held a tool. Alexander will graduate this spring with a certificate in welding and a job offer. He's excited to make good money, more than $20 an hour right away. With his new skills, he's also been helping out at home.
You do
things around the house.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how has your life changed?
Oh man, it's because my aunt used to be doing a lot of the building stuff, so I've been helping her fix up the porch and stuff like that. So it helped me a lot. So everything not on her. Yeah.
Upstairs at the center, there's a commercial kitchen and a full medical wing. Jaronetta Davenport leads the center's pre-nursing program. Her classroom includes mock exam rooms with lifelike mannequins.
They breathe, they blink, they have seizures.
She's a nurse herself. That's one of the things that makes the center unique. All of the programs are taught by professionals.
We can defibrillate them, so it's almost like a human.
Davenport is a New Orleans native and got her start in nursing in high school through a similar job training program.
I think my personal experiences are relatable to the trainees.
She's supported herself financially since she was 15 years old and says her students are often also in survival mode. Her goal is to get them to think long term. One of the first questions she asks them is, what's a job versus a career?
When you have a career, you can work almost anywhere. Whereas a job, if you work at McDonald's, work at McDonald's. If you work at Walmart, you work at Walmart. Yes, there's cashiers everywhere, but there's not very much opportunity for growth.
Amari Jones is a senior at L.B. Landry High School on the West Bank. She spends half of every school day at the center. She's wearing scrubs, and there's a sparkly blue clip on her lanyard.
Are you talking about this part? Yeah. Oh, it says nurse in progress.
Jones came to the center last year to become a medical assistant, but she got selected to become more highly trained and earn a nursing credential. She says balancing the program with her high school classes and a job at Canes has been hard, but worth it.
I'm going to be licensed. And I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to continue to move forward. That's not my end goal. I want to become a travel nurse. I'm going to keep going. Maybe even a nurse practitioner.
She says the teenagers she goes to the Career Center with have their own dreams. They're optimistic, and they support one another.
The kids, they're out here pushing it.
Like this one kid.
I tell them every day, you're going to do big things. Like, I see your future is bright.
She knows her future is bright, too. In New Orleans, I'm Aubrey Uhas.
I want to be a cop. Can you keep your lips sealed? I think with leadership skills can turn low-level offenders into crisp bills. You know, I've always wanted to be a cop.
It's a huge breach of trust when you see this pattern, example after example after example of these cops who have clearly committed wrongdoing, then going to another agency. It's really troubling.
State Senator Stephanie Chang reacting to more than a year of reporting from 7 News Detroit, showing how problem officers from across the state have been allowed to jump from department to department, leaving scandal, lawsuits, or criminal charges in their wake. Tonight, lawmakers say they have a plan to fix it.
We shouldn't be cycling through bad cops when someone clearly knew that this was someone that should not be in law enforcement.
In Michigan, the agency that helps police the police is the Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, or MCOLS. Its small staff has an enormous responsibility to ensure that every officer who leaves a department to join another meets the standards to be licensed.
The vast majority of people who leave agencies do so in good standing. There's 18,500 licensed officers in Michigan. Even if 1% of them don't, that's a significant number.
And as we've shown, officers with troubling histories have gotten rehired without state watchdogs noticing, like a cop seen punching a citizen in the face or improperly tasing a homeless man. A deputy caught buying narcotics on duty and using racist language.
Whoever you are.
Officers accused of harassment by multiple women, engaging in sex acts or sexting with women they'd pulled over, and cops found to be untruthful.
What you just named are some egregious examples of individuals who violated the public's trust in one department, and because of the lack of bills like what we have before you now, they've continued to be able to violate our citizens.
It wasn't supposed to work this way, says Senator Sarah Anthony. When an officer leaves their job, their department is supposed to tell the state exactly why. Any department looking to hire them needs to conduct a thorough background check of their own. But too often we found that didn't happen, with some chiefs hiring officers without even knowing why they left their last job.
How could you hire a guy and miss that?
Well, and I think that's what we're trying to fix and resolve.
In other cases, departments claim that an officer left in good standing when they were actually under investigation or facing internal charges. And sometimes it was state investigators who dropped the ball, failing to flag problem cops before another agency could hire them.
This is where this bill is important, is to finally put an end to this practice and to give MCOs additional tools to rein this stuff in.
In November, Senators Anthony, Chang, and others introduced a package of bills designed to help plug some of the holes our investigation revealed. If signed by the governor, they would allow MCOs to set standards for department background checks, require them to fully disclose why an officer left and whether they were under investigation during their final year. It would give the state greater authority to revoke a law enforcement license, and it would also give MCOs a 90-day window to revoke an officer's license if it was activated in error.
Many of these examples that you highlighted, this could have been prevented if there was additional time, additional efforts to rein these pieces in.
What the bills don't address, at least right now, is any discipline for departments that give false information about why an officer left or don't perform a complete background check.
When you have police chiefs who say that an officer left in good standing, who did not leave in good standing, or a police chief who says they did a background check and they didn't do a background check, how do you guard against that?
You know, I'm aware of other states where if an agency head does not follow their version of the MCOS Act, that action is taken against their law enforcement license. In certain cases, these are criminal offenses.
Senator Anthony says she's open to adding more teeth to the law down the road. But first, she wants to get these fixes on the books. Her legislation already has the endorsement of major law enforcement groups, including the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police, who says our reporting has provided a public service and a warning to police chiefs.
Because now we see in a very public manner the types of repercussions that can happen when you take a chance on somebody. You know, a lot of good has come from these stories. As painful as it is for me to watch these because it's embarrassing to the profession, which I obviously care about.
Tonight, there are just weeks left in the current legislative session, meaning the clock is ticking for lawmakers to act on the new bills. Senator Anthony says the stakes are too high not to.
I don't want to be sitting here in a year listening to another laundry list of incidences in which a bad apple went to the other side of the state and violated someone in their community.
If Democrats can't get the bills passed and signed by the governor by the end of the year, their prospects for passage will diminish. Republicans take over the majority starting next month. I'm Ross Jones, 7 News, Detroit.
Tony, thank you. Developing news. The search for the gunman who killed United Health's CEO has expanded to New Jersey and Connecticut. Police now believe the suspect left New York City on a bus shortly after the shooting on Wednesday morning. Tonight, we're learning more about some of the steps companies take to protect their leaders. Hannah Cotter joins us now live. And Hannah, you spoke with the owner of a local security company today.
Mike, former federal agent Steve Cortino owns Discreet Investigative Solutions and often works with high-profile and high-net-worth clients. 50-year-old Brian Thompson was shot and killed Wednesday morning as he was leaving his New York City hotel alone, heading to an investor meeting. The United Healthcare CEO's death is shining a light on security and how companies protect their leadership.
Somebody of that high net worth and somebody in the public light should have had some type of security detail with him, doing in advance.
Former federal agent Steve Cortino owns Discreet Investigative Solutions in Hope, Rhode Island. He says his team investigates online and through local law enforcement before determining what type of security to provide a client.
Is it just primary security or is it secondary for the family and the children and stuff like that? And it's based on threat level. And the way we do it is if we're going to protect somebody, we protect them, meaning we give them 360-degree protection. If we can't provide that, then we don't take the job.
And several big companies are already taking precautions after the shooting. Government health insurance provider Centene Corporation says its investor day will now be virtual, quote, in the wake of this tragic loss. Reporting live in East Providence, Hannah Cotter, 12 News.
Context of White Supremacy.
Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, December 6, 2024. So I have been told. They have security meeting at your job, wake of the health insurance assassination. Talk about safety all the time. Do we have any folks who work in the insurance industry? Do we have anybody? Let us know. I don't know. Might be different vibe in your work environment this week after the public murder. They've been showing the video over and over. Let us know what is the case. Our weekly broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism. We've been back at it for second week since back from California, even though we did do Neutralizing Workplace Racism in California. But back in full effect, regular weekly schedule every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Not for spectators, especially during the holiday season, post-election season even. If you have figured out some codification, techniques, strategies, words to use that get white people, even non-white people, to discontinue non-constructive activity. They don't come around harassing you about holiday decorations, how you gonna decorate the tree, do you know any good eggnog recipes, you gonna participate in Secret Santa, white elephant, none of that. We're still on the clock, aren't we? We're not getting paid to decorate the office. Now, I do know in some places you do get paid to decorate the office, but if that's not you, that's not in your job description, hey man, let us know. What did you do? What words, strategies have you figured out? Get people. We are just about business. We come to your cubicle, come to your office, come to your workstation. We are about business, promotions, raises, new projects, employee of the month parking place, things like that, not silliness, goofy. You got that eggnog cocktail down in the lounge. Come on. Come on. Number to dial again, not for spectators, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Smoothie time. Grapefruits from California. And my favorite, the grapefruit pineapple smoothie. I've had it like 4 times since I've been back. My grapefruits that I smuggled from California, which have been extraordinary. I even slipped in pomegranates, also smuggled back from California. Out of this world. One of the best smoothies I ever had, my grapefruit pineapple smoothie I had the other day with pineapple smuggled from California. Also, I think almost everything in the smoothie was from California except the yogurt, which you obviously need fresh, but wow, it was amazing. They just have, what produce? And except in LA, down there they got hot dogs and McDonald's. Email untiljustice@gmail.com. Untiljustice@gmail.com. Again, not for spectators. That way, if you are concerned, don't want your voice identified, that sort of thing, you can share if you have strategies, or certainly if you have problems, difficulties in the workplace, let us know. We'll do our best. Use counter-racist logic. Help solve problems without creating new problems. I can say one thing, man, being gone for so long, Wi-Fi, being away for over 30 days, and gotta wonder, they have great Wi-Fi in this part of California, and even really being in Silicon Valley. You think, they have amazing Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi at Stanford, if you're a visitor, is kind of slow. You have to be a student or faculty member to get the really, really super duper hi-fi Wi-Fi. If you're just a no-count visitor like myself, you're not friends with Condoleezza Rice, man, I almost got you on dial-up, But man, if you work from home or do a lot of computing work, having functional, reliable, fast Wi-Fi. Wow, very nice to not have to think about that anymore. At least for the time being. I think they even said the power was out while I was gone, so I guess that could have been an issue if I had been here, at least briefly. Missed that part. Any hoodles. Audio segments that we heard to begin. We started off, we heard the segment about, or actually two separate segments about shortages, alliteration, right? First, they started with air traffic controllers, and they said the shortages may impact travel this holiday season, where it's slowing people down, causing congestion, all the rest of it. And they've been talking about this for years. Now, I guess they don't have the bots and such ready to take over this job. So in the interim, man, that's when we talked about it before. You might have to relocate. Might mean, you have to go to Iowa, Washington State, Oregon, who knows. But, if you are willing to relocate and do the training, which is more than a couple days, as I understand, might be a job where you can make better money than what you would at McDonald's or being a special education teacher. Something to think about. Now, again, I don't know what the future outlook of that job is, because they've had shortages for such a long time. Is that one that they think the bots are going to take that over by 2035 and that sort of thing? Or is that one we might need some people doing this, at least for a few more decades type of a thing, where then, hey, if you're a young person, take that, hey, now at least you got one career that you could have for the next 15, 20 years. See how you like it. If you don't like it, check something else out, whatever. But they do need air traffic controllers. Also heard the shortages in special education. Now, with that segment, they started off with what I think is a non-white teacher. That was NPR audio, but I think it was a non-white person who was injured on the job. Man, and we have lots of educators who have dialed in over the many years that we've had neutralizing workplace racism. I think a disproportionate number of special education teachers are non-white for a lot of the reasons that they enumerated. Can be a dangerous job, the population of students that you're working with. They don't pay well. They said that you could go work, be an air traffic controller, go work at Denny's and make more money than special education teacher. You're not supported. We've heard directly from some of these folks, and then the population of students that you're working with. It's a variety of factors, but I suspect, now I could be totally wrong, but I suspect a disproportionate number of the people who work special ed are non-white educators. They put you in the worst conditions, unsafe, poor training, too many students in terms of student-teacher ratio and all the rest of it, and then things like that happen where you get injured, they go to report it, and you got to watch Leroy, he can be a handful, that type of thing. No assistance, no nothing to remedy these sort of problems. So that would be something to think about too. if you're going into teaching, do you want to do special education? If you're in that field, the pay, it would be a lot to think about. Safety, we talk about that all the time. Like, now they had the CEO for the insurance company get shot, and they said, whoa, we're going to do Zoom and rethink security and bodyguards and all the rest of it. Special education teachers, a lot of them non-white. Come on. Like I said, that way, and particularly they've been saying all the data, growing number of the students are non-white. I would think especially special education. Man, I would think about that on both ends. In fact, if you have children that are in special education, what is going to be provided for my child? And then if I am an educator, man, is this, what I want to, do I want 10 years of this? Being bitten, assaulted, spit on, all the rest of it, COVID-19 if it comes back, and then I'm not even supported, they don't even want to pay me anything? Man. So we heard the staffing shortages times 2. Then we heard, now talk about, what are you learning and what are we sending our non-white children to? Down in Texas, it was over 100 educators who allegedly got fake credentials. Now, I remember I think it was a nursing scam in Florida, may have been other regions where they had seemed like a disproportionate number of non-white nurses who were getting fake credentials. They were talking about how this can harm care and having people in a hospital and in a mode of not doing harm, and they haven't even been properly educated to do this job. You might have a repetition here, and I think they even had that cheating scandal in Georgia allegedly some years back. Folks remember that? That was a lot of black teachers as well. I have not seen like a full list of photos of all of the educators, so I don't know if this is a lot of white people, a lot of non-white people. I know I asked that question some time back, maybe it was earlier this year, about lying on a resume. You go to apply for a job and telling them that you have skills that you don't or credentials that you don't. And I just remember saying, I could not imagine, my experience, many other victims of white supremacy, you can't go to the bank and cash like a $5 check without, whoa, fingerprint, DNA, blood sample, urine. Where are your grandparents' fingernails? We got to get a DNA sample from them too. Whoa, we don't just give out $5, $5 willy-nilly now. Wait a minute, we got protocol. See, I couldn't imagine just going and making up something. I'm a Phi Beta Kappa and graduated from Harvard and all this. I got a teacher credential and I don't have it, and think that they're not going to investigate. I've seen where non-white people, where they did have certain credentials or graduated or whatever. Non-Clemson grads, I'm valedictorian. Ain't even graduated from Clemson, talking about he's valedictorian. Spell it. That type of thing. So I can't imagine. I certainly wouldn't recommend, and I cannot, imagine being that confident to think that I could do such a thing, and that even other non-white people, wouldn't investigate, ask references, check another job or whatever to find out if there's any, truth to what I'm saying I can do, my skill set on a resume. Anywho, we'll have to see as this goes along, if there's going to be a criminal prosecution, as there was in the Georgia cheating case a few years back. Mugshot. Let's see what these folks look like. Are these white teachers, non-white teachers, black people? What do they look like down in Texas? The folks who allegedly, cheated for these teacher credentials. We'll see. Let's see. Then they talked about the academic program in New Orleans, Louisiana. They're going to work with the young people, train them, nursing, again, other skill sets, and they're working with people who actually do the job. Now that's a big one that I talk about all the time that I think is superb. If you're interested, you have a young person, children, nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever, and they're interested in a specific career field where they can C, preferably someone classified as black in that field. This is what it looks like. I went to school, I came out, got, X job, boom. This is what I've been doing. This is how long it took me to get here. And this is, the trajectory of what I hope to be doing over the next, 5 years. This is my plan for the next 5 years for my career, so they can see what that looks like. This is the sort of education or credentials that you'll need to get here, type of training, which you should be trying to, pay attention to in school. All of that. Are the bots going to take this job over? All of that. So you can ask lots of questions and know exactly how many times you get bit on this job. Let me see. All of that. All of those questions. So you'll be way informed when you take the job. That's the sort of thing, they could get more of those types of programs where they have people training, call them trades or whatever, but getting people that can do electrical work, plumbing, repairs, all of that, because they have so few. They have needs for all of this, and that's something that you could do and not have to pile up, $100,000 in debt for a lot of these jobs. Air traffic controller, too, where you could get a job that pays pretty well. You don't have all that debt, and you could be stable, like a job that you might be able to have for a while, unless, the bots take over. Let's see. Then we heard the report, the wandering officer in Michigan, although that is not, an exclusive Michigan problem. I think they hinted at that in the report and talking about officers who might be in Michigan and they go to other states or whatever the case may be. Hey, if it's Leroy, Jamal at any job, you think they just get to leave and, we're not going to mess it up for Leroy's future and that sort of, please. You have black people who are great employees. They leave and white people still want to mess things up for them moving forward. I've seen that, right? We've heard about that. Wandering. Literally, you've had white officers. They talked about that. That's not Michigan, but Timothy Loman, who killed Tamir Rice out in Ohio, he had been hired before and then got hired afterward. White people don't get fired. They get transferred. And they've talked about the difficulty. Like I said, it's not just Michigan. In many jurisdictions, in what they call it, changing the laws, all of that, so that, hey, we can stop getting all of these wandering. They got whole papers called that, the wandering officer. White officer from going to all these different places and getting jobs even after they've been abusive, murderous, racist, all the rest of it. Now, the interesting thing, they said that tacky metaphor, the bad apple, talking about these officers who go to, wherever else, abuse, terrorize other people. When they got to talking about, now, wait a minute, sometimes these wandering officers, the problem is they go through the interview process and the police employee or whomever that is supposed to be doing the background check and going over the applicant, like I said, do you really have these credentials? Did you get fired before? How many George Floyd cases have you had? How many niggers have you strangled on the job? That sort of thing. They don't even investigate. Now, we've heard that bunches of times, too. White people, they go for job, offers, interviews, all the rest of it, and we don't even do the background check. I'd said that before. I suspect that that is a big part of how racism works, that for black people, they'll go do a background check. Maybe they make up something, lie, all the rest of it. Other white people can lie and give you a bad resume. You probably have a lot of white people, they don't even do the background check to weed out. Do we have Timothy McVeigh here? What's going on? We got Jeff Dahmer here? What's going on? Literally, they said that when Timothy McVeigh, he was going to get his explosives and doing all that to go do the bombing, they didn't even stop and just let me do some of the basic checks and what have you, that if they had done, maybe this happens, maybe it doesn't. But I mean, you got to be joking. Like, it can't be a bad apple if part of the problem is said racist officer goes to apply, and just because he's white, particularly because I know you don't do this when black people go to apply to be on the police department, such a long history, you didn't even want black officers to have that sort of job, or the fire department. So these white people come apply to get a job, and you don't even do a background check to see if they will be safe. Don't you get a gun to be an enforcement official? You don't even think that's worthy of, well, before you give you this gun, you go out and put 50 bullets in somebody. At least make sure you haven't choked out anybody. Just be prudent, you know. They don't even do that. And then say bad at, nah, man, nah. Whole system of white supremacy racism. They even did that for old Mark Furman. All that, he can go get a job and get out on TV, make more money. All roads back to Renthal James. Any hoodles. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I know I asked last week, do we have anybody you have figured out any tips, strategies to get white people on your job, or even non-white people, to desist from calling you on your personal phone, personal number, when you're not at work? Haven't heard any tips. I don't know if folks have any strategies. I said this is one you can write it down if you hear the archive and all that, but if you have a thought process, ignoring the call, I asked last week, is that an option? You just don't, answer the phone, all that. Let us know. Do you have any thoughts, ideas? Supervisor, white person, they love, got to call you on a Saturday evening. Or if you're off on Thursday, got to call you at noon on a Thursday. Think you might be at the spa, want to disrupt that. Any tips? I said last week, I would preempt. If I'm, like I just said with the Thursday, I'm going to be off on Thursday. Wednesday, might even double whammy it. Let them know before you leave on Wednesday. Going to be off tomorrow per your approved vacation or personal day request. You can show them the paperwork that all this has already been approved, just as a reminder. And then I would do a reminder email if I think this is someone who they love these sort of disruptions, and really this is stealing your time and energy. I would do a scheduled email, might even do 2, for late in the day that Wednesday, if I'm going to be off on Thursday, the day before I'm going to be off, scheduled email for sometime afternoon, after 12 p.m. And then I might even do a second one at the beginning of the following day as a reminder, and I would include the document where this has already been approved and signed off on, maybe by them or whomever, whatever white person or important, more powerful person had to sign off on you having this approved vacation or personal sick, whatever it is. I would include that so there's no confusion. This was already approved. I'm not supposed to be here today, and you all should already know this. Just to preempt the likelihood of this happening. But if folks have a better strategy or think there might be any problems with that, please let us know. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Definitely, if you got those strategies, let us know. And then whole, month, I reckon. Anyone, the holidays, if you got those goofy holiday parties or anything like that, the Santa swaps and white elephant, all that, let us know. If you figured out a way to neutralize all that, let us know. Share in detail. We always need updates to that code, especially if things have evolved as time has moved along. So-called DEI, if that influences, maybe they don't do as much of the Christmas stuff. Whoopee. Let's see. Email number 1. That is good smoothing. Okay. Email number 1. Finally, 8 months after my assessment, I now have an ergonomic chair to help with my back issues. Only took White Jesus 7 days to build the earth, as they say. just took them a little less than a year to get you a credit. Boy, if you thought them white people were upset before, this highfalutin, uppity nigger woman got her own. She too good to sit, just get old raggedy desk like the rest of. She got to get a special desk to sit her nigger hind parts down. Now she got to get a special chair. My back, I got to get a. You gonna be all types of niggers and uppity niggers and then it got special. Ooh. I wouldn't even be surprised if they try and do some pranks. Steal it, the chair I'm talking about, steal it, move it, put a whoopee cushion in it, or worse. Oh my God, who does this nigger think she is? Even some of the black people, she talked about how they were upset too. Like, you come here and move Ned and other good white people, move them out and tell them that they can't sit here, and then you're going to get a special like you. Who made you queen nigger of the office? Oh, it's about to be on and popping. Let's see. So he finally gets the chair. It was delivered Wednesday, the same day as one of the 2 team Christmas lunches. They had 2 Christmas lunches. Come on. I wasn't sure what time it would arrive, so I messaged Phoebe, who arranged the lunch, that I might not attend as I was waiting for delivery. Uh-oh. The only reason I did so was because I knew it would be an issue if I didn't go. It wasn't compulsory, but, see, that's how they get it. Well, it's not required, but we gonna talk so dirty about you if you don't go. We gonna call you every kind of coon and nigger, and it's not just gonna be for today. It's gonna be for the next year. You thought it took 8 months to get that chair? It's gonna take 5 years next time. Blow off our Christmas luncheon. Who do you? And blow it off to get a nigger chair that you don't even deserve? I could throw up. That's what they say. Woo, let's see. Be a dish if I didn't go. It wasn't compulsory, but I'd already said I would go because of the unjust image of me that has been portrayed by Shauna, the racist ex-manager, and others. At 12 p.m., Phoebe started gathering people so we could go to the canteen as a group. She then asked if I would join them, then questioned me about what was being delivered. I answered because it wasn't a secret, but her continued interest in what desk I sit at and what equipment I may or may not get is notable. And if I'm honest, it makes me feel uncomfortable, as if I'm getting something I'm not entitled to. What did I just say? You uppity niggers? You're not. You should be in a shed. What do you mean? You already got your own special nigger desk? Now you got your own special nigger chair? Like, what kind of special nigger are you? Oh, my God. Throw up. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw up on your chair. Let's see. Not entitled to. Not entitled to. Other people in the team have workplace adjustments. We don't care about that. They're white. They get whatever they want. And I don't think they're made to feel this way. Of course not, because they're white. The interest shown is not caring in any way. Still no response on the second laptop. Now, you really are out of your mind. You're going to get a special laptop, too. As we stood in the lunch queue, I overheard Shauna having a conversation with another member of the team. Jeffrey Dahmer's greatest fangirl will be joining the team next week for the second of our team Christmas lunches. They're having 2 in, like, short succession. Like, we got what? Like, we can't just have one and be done? Like, what is the one next? Is that the Kwanzaa one? Is that the Hanukkah one? Like, we got 2 for White Jesus? Could get all that eggnog in one round. We got to, come on. We have it too. Shauna explained about the arrangement. She had agreed for Jeffrey Dahmer's fangirl reduced working hours now that she has 2 children, and allowing her to not go into the office for the required 2 days for the same reason. Now, see, I've said that. We've talked about this for years now, all the way back to the beginning of COVID. The rules say you're supposed to be in the office 5 days a week, or whatever the policy is. The rules say you cannot work from home. The rules say But, same way with the, now it's not required, but they'll say, now, hey, the rules say you got to be in the office, but, and we know, old Julie here, hey, she is a hard-working white mama, and we gonna bend over backwards for our Julie. Now, if you need to stay home 2 days, well, you going to stay home 2 days a week. Now, the policy is you're supposed to be here often. Well, we got your back, Julie. Don't you worry. That sort of thing. Now, if this was available to everybody, if Lakeisha came in and said, hey, I got a child and got to go get him from there, got to have commitment, Lakeisha. That sort of thing. That's what Fuller would say, hey, document. Because that's the same thing he talks about in terms of equal protection under the law. If Julie or whomever else can get, 2 days off because they have children, or you don't have to come into the office, or they can make whatever other arrangements for you, they can do the same thing for me, or Lakeisha, or Leroy, or anybody else here. And if not, why? Why is there discretion for Julie or the van girl, and you can't have that same sort of constructive discretion for me? Equal protection, document. Let's see. Reduced working hours. This was fascinating to listen to, not least the sweet, caring, and understanding tone in her voice. Contrast that to her mistreatment towards me and my back and ankle problems. But I wasn't surprised, as we shouldn't be. You can negotiate reduced hours, but having 2 children isn't a real reason not to go into the office for the required 2 days. Personally, I don't care either way. So long as a person gets the job done, it doesn't matter to me, but it's not on the stated list in the staff handbook setting out reasons that managers should be flexible about working arrangements. Although it is stated the printed list is not exhaustive, which does leave room for managers' discretion. As we sat eating Christmas lunch, the conversation covered a range of topics in the media and trivia. Phoebe mentioned a TV personality who's being castigated in the media for sexual harassment. She mentioned the fact that the white male and his co-presenter have worked together for over a decade, but apparently do not get on outside of work. Shauna then said, I think it's strange that people can work together for years and not know anything about each other. I think that statement was for my benefit. She later asked about my plans for the Christmas holiday period. I gave her a non-answer. Brilliant, because it's no payoff. It's no like even if we're going to paint the whole house red and green and we make elf cookies and have eggnog snacks and smoothies every day. They don't need to know all of that. You don't need to show them pictures. If your relatives are going in or coming in town or you're going out of it, they don't need to know any of that. None of that. Keep it, man. Really, I'm not interested in hearing them talk about all their plans and what we're going to eat. And we burn the turkey and come on. Back to, am I going to get that promotion? There we go. Let's see. Phoebe tried to get Shauna to reveal her age again. She tried this before in my presence, and from Shauna's response, that wasn't the first time. Shauna didn't reveal her age this time either. I don't blame her because it's none of Phoebe's business. But given that Shauna is keen for me to be open, I wonder why she doesn't put Phoebe out of her misery by revealing her age. The chair was delivered later that afternoon. The delivery person set the chair up for me and talked through the features and how to adjust it to suit my needs. All the time, I was being observed by other people in the team, including Shauna, who couldn't give a damn about my back. When I left the office that evening, she and Harry, racist suspect, were the only 2 people in our team left in the office. I said goodnight and left feeling like I was about to be the topic of their conversation, and not in a good way. Shauna, I've determined, is fixated with me, and I don't know why. When we prepare reports, you can give people access to the document as their input will be required at different points. However, Shauna has taken to spending time observing me draft my reports, which can take hours or days. You can tell when someone just has the document open on their computer, and when they are actively in it, Shauna has been watching me for long periods, half an hour, sometimes an hour, sometimes leaving and going back into the document to see my progress. Apart from clearly not having any work of her own to do, there is no way on the face of the earth she would do the same to Zoe or Shelley or right-wing Ashley. Again, non-white people, even, so-called supervisors on a job, we do not treat individuals classified as white the same as we would treat someone who is non-white. That means just law, long running. Let's see. There's no issue with my ability to write reports. She's praised my report writing in the past, and in fact, she commended me on this report. The project itself is high profile, but that still doesn't explain her behavior. I find it distracting and irritating and incredibly undermining, but I've got to the point where I can mentally block her out. Otherwise, it will cause me to make errors. About a month ago, Shauna accused me of ignoring messages from her and Harry or not responding in good time. When I asked for an example, she mentioned an email Harry had sent me that morning about 2 weeks ago. She sent me an email claiming I had ignored a request, stating in the email that it was an example of me not communicating with her. That was it. I responded asking her to set out what the issues are, as the first time she had raised that there was a problem with my communication was in my performance appraisal meeting, despite also saying that I had never not completed a request from her or Harry, and that I didn't remember asking about the work. Her response claimed I had not responded to a message she left in the Zoom chat, a message that I did not see because she had sent other messages, so it was easy to miss one. I messaged her back asking to set out the issues that she and Harry have, because it was not just about me missing a message in Zoom chat, that clearly there are concerns that I am not aware of, and I need her to be clear so that I can address the matter. She did not reply. That seemed like bad communication there. Like, I asked for specific questions. I'm trying to make improvements and get better, and you're ghosting me. Come on, man. Come on. Over that period, she had been harassing me, sending me constant messages about my progress on work, even though I was actually keeping her up to date and had met deadlines. Her actions are hostile and aggressive. That's how we come at non-white people. Got our fists balled up. Ooh, you don't know what you do. Ooh. That's trained in us. All you got to expect us in the workplace. We are not cool. We're not homies. We're not friends. That's why I don't want to do none of the holiday stuff. Imagine that she comes in, Shauna's like, hey girl, I've been home, been doing my baking for the holidays. I made some little elf cookies. You want 3 or 4? I got the diabetes. I don't do. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Let's see. Hostile. The fact that she would claim by email that I'm ignoring her as opposed to just asking about the message she had left in the weekly meetings we have is very telling. Last week I received a bonus from her for my hard work on a very complicated project and flexibility. Well, I will take the bonus. Hopefully it was ginormous to compensate for all the tackiness, but still, we are not homies, and yeah, I would just expect more of that, especially around the chair. Like, oh man. Look, they got her a throne, I guess. Our Negro queen. Don't touch the throne. Don't touch the throne. You get in trouble if you touch the throne. Buddy, you are about to see tackiness on a whole new level. Much obliged for sharing. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-3776. 5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Smoothie time. Smoothie time. Woo. Okay. Let's see. Man, they have the best grapefruits in the world. If I had a empty, I said that already. I say it again. If I had an empty suitcase, I would have got me like 8 pounds of grapefruits. I would have got 2 yellow watermelons, cauliflower. Man, I would have racked up one empty suit. If I had 2 empty, man, California, the best produce. I'd have got some avocados too. Anyway, neutralizing workplace racism. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up. You have commentary to share. Let's see.
Hello?
You can go ahead, man.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope everyone's having the best evening that they can have. Thank you for taking my call. I think you asked the question, what do you do to minimize the talk about holiday things, or if you don't want to participate? I believe everything depends on the environment. I started my job again today, and on Monday we have a meeting, and I get paid by the hour. If somebody brings up their holiday plans, you think I'm not going to listen to all them plans? I want to know everything. I want to know where'd you get the meat from? Did you dress up your dog as a reindeer? Don't let me get started with the questions. I get paid by the hour too, and all I have to do is listen to you. Oh, I'm going to listen. Now, every job is different, so you have to be, mindful. And then I look like I care. Oh, she's nice. No, I get paid more. I don't care. I don't know. So every job is different, and you have to really know your environment. And if that's not something you want to talk about, then, hopefully you're established as the person who's not involved in small talk or whatever. Or, they're, or what they call, you could also bring up something else because, the holidays aren't the best time for people. Some people are sad, and no one wants to hear your sad story. So, or dark facts about medical, suicides and Christmas, and no one wants to hear that. But so maybe find one of those facts, like, oh man, what a killjoy, and maybe they'll walk away from you. The other stuff, like you said, air traffic controller, I've been hearing about that 20 years now, since before your program was started. That's still going on, and I think because of the weather patterns, the changing, I think there'll still be time. I believe you still have to be relatively young, because when I saw it, 20 years ago, you had to be, I think they wanted you to be 30, no older than 30 or 31. I don't know if that's changed, so someone will have to look into that. And, the pay will only increase, so if that's something you want, like you said, you may have to move. That's something to think about. But, fortunately today with FaceTime and things like that, you can keep in touch, more so with family and friends than actually 20 years ago when I first started hearing about it. But my strategy during the holidays or any other time, if I'm at a meeting getting paid by the hour and all I have to do is listen to you, or you can tell me any story you want, I am there for you. But that's where I work. Every place is different. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Love it. Caller in Georgia with the holiday madness in the workplace. Now, we've talked about those goofy luncheons and things before too. If it's one at work where you're getting paid, now I'm still not going to hang out and all that, but oh man, feel a little differently about that one. Yes, we're on the clock. You don't have to eat anything. Do your 30 minutes and we're out. But yes, on the clock, you might feel a lot differently about, well, be doing work on the computer, just sitting here and talk about the eggnog recipe. Talk about the eggnog. We on the clock? We'll talk about the eggnog recipe on the clock. Right on. Get all the coins, nickels that you can in the workplace. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. I think that might have been Lauren who yielded. If you have commentary, should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. That was me. Thank you for allowing me to speak. The ATC, the air traffic control shortages, they said in that segment, the FAA acknowledged decades-long issues of staffing there. And that is a problem. There's not enough air traffic controllers, but there's not enough people, I think, eligible to be air traffic controllers. You have to be able to, you have to be able to do math in your head, things like that. Your memory has to be efficient, effective. You need a medical clearance. You need a security clearance. And by that, I mean you can't have certain health problems. You can't have certain criminal backgrounds. And, so that just makes a lot of people ineligible. I'm not really sure what the number is, but I would say less than 1% of the population would be able to do that. And even if you go to school for these things, it doesn't mean that once you get on the job, you're going to be able to actually check out and do the job. It's I don't know. And then there is that age limit because you have to retire by age 56. And I think it takes 25 years to be eligible for the retirement. It might be less if you were in the military previously, but so it's hard to fill those jobs. And I don't think white people in the government are actually making a concerted effort to do that. I think they've decided that it would just be less to overwork these people and pay them overtime than it would be to locate and train people to be air traffic controllers. Let's see. The school staff that work with the students with disabilities, we have the lady who calls in to the program and she works with students. It's more than one lady, actually, I think. And I just, I listen to these, to what they have to say, and it sounds terrible. The staffing, the level of care that other people at these schools seem to have for the children seems low. And even on that segment, where it was talking about Fred Jimenez, he comes home with a black eye, his glasses are broken, and he didn't report it because it happens all the time. Then he gets pushed by a student, falls down, hits his head, has a brain bleed, and it leads to his death. It said special educators were most likely to experience violence, and I think they said nearly 3 times more likely to be assaulted by students. And on one, it sounded like a white lady, but I wasn't sure. She said she had 3 concussions, 2 broken noses. She had been stabbed in the stomach and had numerous bites. Okay. That, I really hope she makes much more than the $16 an hour starting pay. And you can make $20 an hour working at Chick-fil-A. So I don't understand. Maybe she's been doing it for a long time, so she's at the point where she makes $30 or $40 an hour. I don't know. But I don't think I would be going to work for $20 an hour, having to deal with broken noses and getting stabbed in the stomach and getting bitten all the time. and changing diapers. The people who are able to do that have high level care for these children, and that's admirable, but that's not enough money. The teacher certification cheating scandal that happened in Houston, Texas, this was on NPR some weeks ago. This wasn't the same report, but they've been talking about it for a while. But on this report, it said they estimate that over 210 teachers have fraudulent certifications, but there's a list of over 100 teachers under investigation. So how do you choose, the 110 teachers who you're not going to investigate? That's a question that I think should be asked. And the report that I heard, they went to, I think they were at Jack Yates High School in Booker T, Washington, which are high schools that Black students go to. I would say they're mostly Black, almost all white and mostly Black. And the teachers, they sounded like they were classified as Black, the ones who lost their jobs, when I heard the NPR report some weeks ago. The report from New Orleans about training these students, I don't think I've ever heard that mid-skill. I don't know. But it said half of the jobs in New Orleans are considered mid-skill, where, you need to complete high school but not college. And it's excellent that male child who'd never held a tool before got to get a welding certification. But then someone said they were talking about having a good job, and then they said $20 an hour. And I just don't think making $20 an hour is a good job. But I don't know. Good is, obviously, that is subjective. The cops committing wrongdoing and then going to another agency, that's been going on forever. Having these news reports like this is a brand new problem every month is ridiculous. And they said they were going to have this commission on law enforcement standards, and it was designed to help plug some of the holes, metaphor. I guess they said some of the things they were going to do, but I think it would be better to be just super specific about what you're going to do when you form this commission. People, have these studies, they form commissions, they do all these things. White people, make it seem like they're trying to solve the problem, and it just seems like they're just trying to placate people and waste time. Let me see. There will be what they're calling a Christmas party on the job this year. I think I'm going to attend. I've told these people I'm going to attend. And the reason I decided to do it this year is because I didn't do it last year. I don't know if I'm going to do it every other year. If that's going to be, the tactic. But this year it is during business hours. It is only going to be 2 hours, and it's going to count as an in-office day. So I figure I'll just go there, be careful, not talk too much, definitely not engage in any drinking of alcohol, and just do that and then get out of there. That's my plan, and that's all I have. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
I like that the every other year she can hit the Christmas party, if that, ends up being the technique. But hang out. We talked about that before. She can do the same thing. I hang out. I am on the clock, so we're getting paid. In office day. Make my few nickels. Sober. Present. They like that if you RSVP'd, said I'm going to be in attendance. Keep my word. Be in attendance. Not acting a fool. Keep my hands to myself. Ride out these 2 hours on the clock. And then we get back to the office. Grand. Hopefully everybody will behave themselves. I'd watch out for that too if it's at a bar, like, oh man, or any place where they're going to have liquor. Oh man, let me be alert about, people's conduct, what's going on. I am sober as we move through, all of this. But yes, bravo, make your money. I think everyone, you should have a code, about how you deal with these holiday situations, the part, especially the after hours ones. I think those are especially, it's after work, sun has gone down, like at a bar typically or someplace where they're going to have liquor. Yee. Try to bring someone, if you can, for those who is also sober. Another set of eyes to be aware of, what's going on? Let us know. I am also eager to see who are these folks that got prosecuted in Texas, the teachers that there, because it's like over 100. Who are these people? Does it look just like the Atlanta situation where it was almost exclusively black educators who they're saying, oh, you cheated and got these false credentials and all that? The reports that I've seen thus far, I haven't seen any pictures of who these folks are, the specific teachers and such. Even I've seen some names of some of the suspects, but they didn't have picture, bam, or video, that type of thing. I'm very eager to see who exactly is being investigated in Texas for these phony credentials. Let's see. Especially in a system of white supremacy that is all about phoniness and fraudulence and lying. Got these officers telling me all of them got authentic credentials when they go and choke out folks and then lie and go to another department? Come on. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. They could raise the age, right, for the air traffic control. I know they've done that for the armed services because they said the same thing. They got shortages and such. They could raise the age limit a little bit. Say, well, you can stay a little longer, or we'll take recruits that are a little older. We like them a little younger, but I mean, hey, it's dire straits here. You got to get these planes down. So we, or whatever. They could do a lot of creative ways until the bots take over. I guess a lot of ways that they could address that if they really, really wanted to get at this problem. Staffing shortages for air traffic controllers. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, if you have commentary to share, line should be open. Proceed.
Can I be heard?
Aforementioned Bay Area mommy. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Greetings to you and everyone participating. I just got off work. Yeah. We had some kind of parade for particular causes. So I'm not with the general education class. I'm everywhere, but I'm not necessarily in general ed, so I get to participate in certain things on certain times depending on what's going on. And so since the children in special day, if they did, I did see a special day teacher outside, but I think the other children, they all have class. Everyone has a classroom, a home class, but a lot of them spend most of the time in the special day area, but they do transition back and forth from their classes. So maybe they made posters. I didn't with the little guy that I had. I saw some posters, Black Lives Matter, education, and just a lot of different little causes. Feed the birds, just a lot of little causes on the posters. That was today. It was the little parade. I just kind of looked out the window because the child that I have during that time, he was in occupational therapy, so I didn't have to go with him. So I just kind of looked out the window at the children. That was it. On the 22nd of November, I was offered a position at the school. So I mentioned it before, but they sent me some stuff in an email on the 22nd. So I didn't read it until later, and because we had that break, that Thanksgiving break for a week, and you open it, oh, you're so this guy, we'd love to have you. I'm sure they would love to have me. So, as the lady stated before, whatever they're paying these the paraeducators and friends to work with these children is disrespectful. I never, as I stated, I never wanted to be a paraeducator because it sounds like teacher's aide, and I don't want to aid her and or him in anything. But dealing with the behavior of it, if I like the teacher or I don't have a problem with working with the teacher, I will help you as much as I can. So as you read all the stuff, I think it was Oakland's pay and Stockton's pay. So Oakland, now Stockton, California, maybe about an hour from here. The cost of living is different. It's cheaper. So the pay is a little cheaper. So we moved right on to Oakland where it's $9 trillion to live. And the pay is like less than $1 off from Stockton because that's what I was looking at. I'm looking at the pay in Stockton. So I was like, I'd be better off living in Stockton and working at a school in Stockton for the pay. So the pay, like the lady said, so funny. She said something about $20 an hour. So I guess they start, I think it was the tier 1 to 6. So the first tier, which will probably be me, I'm thinking, because I started being a para. I just took that crazy test, so I would be in number 1. So that is $20.80-something an hour. And I'm just going by memory because I don't want to pull it up. And so the second stage, maybe the second stage is $21 and some change. Then stage 3, $22. Stage 4, $22.50. Stage 5, $23. Stage 6, $24.75. So that's the pay for these people. So it totally explains the morale, right? Because every time I'm around the teachers' helpers, they look like they don't want to help. They look depleted. They look like they're overloaded. They look like their energy is down. And that's what I've always noticed with paraeducators. So I'm looking at that all upside down and around, and I always said, so for me, what that would do for me is that would be an $11 an hour pay cut. Now, mind you, I took a cut going in there. I think it was $3. So then they would take $11 more just for me to be a part of the family. I guess they bet on people that maybe lonely people want to be a part of families and groups and cliques and stuff. I've never wanted to be a part of a clique or a group. I've never been lonely, and I have a family, and I've had a mom. So, but I noticed in that setting that I'm at, the school setting, we have these huddles 3 times a week. We come in right before, for 15 minutes. The kids are outside, we're inside, telling all our personal stuff. What are you doing this week? What are you going to, okay, so, and then they share whatever is going to go on that day or that week. It's like that parade. So that's how, I remember hearing about it, but I'm in the room, in the closet. So my life is a little different around the school. So when we went to this morning huddle, they said, okay, share one thing that they were doing something, and me and this other young man who's around my son's age that I totally like, we came late because I was like, hey, I bought you some juice. So I had got him some little juice because I need you available. Here's 2 juices. Trader Joe's delicious. Here you go. So I got him some juice in my head. Come get your juice before we go downstairs, and I had to take my stuff upstairs. So I'm not carrying all that stuff. So we came late, and whatever they were doing, their greeting, I guess it says, give a Christmas greeting or something foolish. We could tell we missed it. So by the time they went around, we was like, yes. So then they started saying something about causes. Just name a cause that you want to support or you would like to support. I don't know. I just like equal education. I don't know what cause. I don't even know anything about a cause, but you can do something better with his education. So just that kind of stuff. They always want to know, okay, what's your favorite Thanksgiving? And we're all in this circle, and it's just so intrusive. So with that, I think in those circles, they get all your information to see where you are, where your head is, what's wrong with you, what they can do, and how they can keep you for pennies on the dollar. So a lot of people that come from an agency, when they got that family hug, they come join us. You're so wonderful. We want you to leave your agency and come to us. Everybody left. Everybody left to be a part of them. And then it's just like they all look like they need to make some more money. And then you stick around longer, then you eventually get to that $24. And it looks like that's where it stops.
Keep in mind, I'm a registered behavior technician. It's not a big deal, but
I do ABA with that little boy in there. I was told that I'm the only one qualified to work with the little boy. I don't understand how. And if that's the case, you're not going to be able to pay me like you pay the other parents because I'm the only one qualified to work with this little boy. So I just keep all that in mind. I declined. I was so courteous with my decline. I declined on Sunday. But I was courteous about it. I just let them know, I don't mind working there as long as you'll have me. But at this point in my life, I can't. I can't work like that. That's not working smart for me. And, they're like, oh, you can get 8 paid. So I guess it's 8, maybe up to 6 to 8 weeks paid. And that's lovely. I appreciate that. But not $20. I make enough money to where I can set something aside for just like Thanksgiving week. I still was able to pay my rent at the end of the month, this in November, not December. So I paid my rent in November. And just like with Christmas break, I will pay my rent in December for January. I work enough hours and make enough money to where I can make it make sense for me versus me dropping at least $11 an hour to entertain these people and be a part of a family. They still keep me. They still have me because it's another thing. I'm the only one qualified. This week, in the next 2 weeks, I'm preparing a study to renew my certification. It's no big deal, but I like behavior, so that works for me. It's easy. I could be a behavior analyst, but I don't want to. I don't want too much in my head. I don't want to have to solve all those problems, but I'll help you solve some of these problems. So that's my thing with all of that. As I stated, I'd rather be a janitor, but this is my last school. I'm not doing any more school. I'm going to work with these children in West Oakland for as long as I can and do as much as I can because they need so much help and so much care and so much patience. These children are flip-flopping in the halls all day. After school program for the past 2 days, we had 3 fights just in class, just in between me on my break. On my break, just in between, it's 2 fights. And then the day before, it was another fight. I'm not even in there. They have whatever this stuff they have for the after-school program, they have an outside agency coming in, and we help the agency do whatever they're doing with the children. Our class has had to wait for a long time for a stable director for our after-school program in our second grade class. Every other class has somebody. The person that we like, she's from another city, a city called Pinot, so she was just filling in until this person passed their clearance. So when whoever they have in our classroom, she's been there this week. This lady looks like she's on crystal meth. And the kids treat her like she's a knock or something. So it's real hard. So we got all kind of fights and stuff because they're not even listening. And it's just out of control. So now I have to raise my voice. Class. Hey, look at this lady. So I have to do a lot more than I ever had to do because they're not respecting and listening to this lady. And she doesn't have the patience to deal with all children. And I think a lot of these people that come into these schools, they're just there because these children have so many issues. They don't care about their issues. They just need that little $20, $30, $25 an hour that they're getting to come babysit these children versus me, I'm trying to rearrange and change and replace behaviors. So I work different. Everything about me is different. And I enjoy it. I know I get into a lot of fights with the little boy in the closet. Well, not real fights, but, you know, he gets mad at me, wants to beat, bite. I'm taking him, biting my arm all the way to the principal's office. He's just chewing on my arm. He's not breaking any of his skin. He doesn't want to break the skin, but he's so accustomed to the attack mode, and I've done my CPI on him so much. He don't like when I push. He don't like when I push. When I prevent him from biting my arm, so he'll just chew on it. So, but he's not breaking his skin. I don't mean it like that. But just to show you, these children have all these different behaviors, and they really act out. It's this one little girl, she flip-flops all through the hall and screams and hollers, and she's very annoying. But I got to take into consideration, because I know, everybody doesn't know, but I know that her mother sold her for drugs. She's in elementary school, 3rd grade. So she's been sold for drugs. I don't know where her mother is, but she lives with her father, who's an alcoholic. That's just one of the 200 and something children with issues. So when they pay me what I'm worth, I might be a part of their team for a little bit. But other than that, I'm going to be on the sideline and get my little money and help as much as I can and still get the job done. Thank you for taking my call. I'll mute myself.
The great Carl Walker, resident of Stockton, California. Matter of fact, Stockton native. She talked about that when I was down in San Francisco at the Museum of Modern Art. She talked about they would make those about hour trek or so down from Stockton to San Francisco to hang out and sightsee and all the other stuff in the big city, and then head back home to Stockton. Cheaper cost of living in Stockton as opposed to the Bay Area, even the East Bay Area. Certainly San Francisco, you have to pay lots more. That is something huge to think about when you talk about salaries. They're saying we'll pay you $20 an hour. Man, we're in Oakland. I mean, what is $20 an hour in Oakland? What is that? You know, if I was in Stockton, maybe, but I mean, in Oakland, as expensive as it is to drive, and then you all want me to go and get students and all that other nonsense sometimes. Like, come on. Expensive as housing is in the Bay Area, and then you got to go to the farmer's market, of course. I mean, come on. And then everything that you have to put up with. Now, we just had the segment where they were talking about the children taking a bite out of folks and all the rest of it. And she just said, he chomping on my arm, going to the principal's office. And come on. Even if they're not breaking it, we got the Rona and everything. I don't want nobody chomping on. Man, you could do way better with exactly what they said. Like, hey, they don't want to pay anything. So, and she said she looked at the staff and they're just overwhelmed and tired. I would be too. Man, $20 an hour for that? I got bite marks on my arm, and they're out fighting, and then you got to go. And she said it was 3 fights during her break. Man, that sort of it. Maybe you don't get your break. Leroy, we're gonna need you to put that sandwich down and come help us. You see? Oh my! It's WrestleMania in the hallway. Come on. And then they might bite on you there too. Like, you don't put your hands on me. You don't stop my. They bite on you again. Jesus. By design, I might add, hey, I already know we dumped all these drugs on them and everything. And I mean, you see the total lack of care about children. I say you just see it with the staffing and all of that. You don't care about staff, much less the students. Like, whatever. Embarrassing all the way through. great job, I think, in just making decisions in terms of, no, I'm not. See, they get you with that old rhetoric. See, you come be a part of the family. What? Like, what? I have two brilliant, lovely children. That's my attempted family. I don't. What? Like, what? See, with that old nonsense, that's how you end up with the young lady. Where she say, "Hey, let me come to your house and hang out. You not doing? Let me stop by your house and chill with you for a minute." Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We are not a family. I was just being courteous, giving you a ride. You do not need to come and hang out at my house. Like, what? What? That sort of this is just, I'm not looking for a family and all the rest. I could be fired, man. What do you mean family? I asked if I can get a day off so I can go chill with my authentic attempted family. Whoa, you know what you mean? You don't, maybe you don't want to be employed here. But whoa, I thought that that don't seem family-like. Man. And then when they start talking about the cost and, offering a job and all the rest of it, now wait a minute. Now, I'm the only one at this facility qualified to work with this little boy who has special needs. Shouldn't that be a few extra nickels? Maybe even extra quarters, really? I mean, what? That is, a very unique skill set. I'm the only one? No, you can't pay me like I should get something special. Man, Trader Joe's gift card, something. Come on, they do that sort of nonsense. And again, that sort of disdain and contempt for staff, the staff that work with these children, in my view, that just further shows the lack of overall care for these non-white children in general. We don't care about the staff or anything that would be useful, beneficial to them. Poo on all of that. That's why she said that a few times. Like, I know, I'm not really being compensated, for my value and all this. I do this for the children. I'm putting this work in for the children that you all don't even care about. Duh. I don't even behave like the rest of these folks who come in here and are yelling and not patient. We talk about that all the time. Like, these are children with special needs, and it seems like nobody is patient, empathetic with them, just yelling and put him in put him in his office, making jokes about putting you in a prison cell, and snickering there, put him in his office. Not, let's get a behavioral plan so we can help this young fella. All that fighting, incidentally, like we've heard that before, especially because I suspect there's a lot of non-white children. She said they come out in the hallways and turning flips and smacking folks upside the head and well, I'm not going to learn anything. We get all these crazy foods and soda pop, Oreo cookies and hot dogs and all the Lunchables, all the rest of it. Hey, and we've heard this pattern, particularly with black boys. Crack somebody's skull, boy. Get out here and stomp your skull, Leroy. Ooh. We've heard this before, over and over. I go to school. I don't know how to function here. I don't use my brain computer, so we're going to do some brawling and biting with these other students, maybe faculty too, maybe both. You look at me funny. All of that should be thought. Now, before we hop into bed now, am I going to contribute to all this? Do we have a plan so that that's not going to be our child chomping on folks at school illiterate at age 9? You don't have to have the children, because that's the plan for racist white supremacists, and apparently they execute that plan perfectly, have been doing so for generations. Do we have a plan? My child is not going to be in his office illiterate, biting people. It's not going to be my offspring. Got to make that plan before you get to the bedroom. Before you get to the bedroom. Much obliged, Bay Area Mom. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 #. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Other folks who dialed in, if we missed you totally, proceed.
Gus, may I be heard?
Privileged black male tumbling dice, yes, sir.
Hi, good evening, Gus. I'd like to tell you about an incident that happened earlier this week. What happened, I do my own lawn. I cut my own lawn. So I bought a weed eater back in July. But I had a week of vacation last week. I rested up, caught up on some rest time. But I took my weed eater and put some gas in it. But what happened is it was a brand new weed eater, but the head came off. So I took it back to the company. But I put it in my car, after my split shift, and I went and parked my car on the school lot with my weed eater in there. But I had my receipt, I had my, all the stuff from the company. So before I went home, I saw a supervisor and two police officers standing by my car. I said, what's going on? I didn't think any of it. I think that something had happened. So when I walked to my car, they asked me what's inside my car. I said, well, you can see right through my car. It's a weed eater in there. But the issue is that my weed eater is just like the same color and the same brand like they have that they use at my job. So these people thought that I stole the weed eater, so they wanted to search my car. I tell them, look, I'm not going to give you permission to search my car. Now you see what's in my car, sees a weed eater in there, and that's my weed eater. Well, we need to check the weed eater. I said, no, you don't need to check them. I said, I have my receipt from my weed eater. Now, I said, technically, I don't have to show you the receipt. I said, but since my car is on district property, I'll show you the receipt that this is my weed eater. I didn't take none from the school. So I grabbed the card from the sales representative that sold me the weed eater. I said, if you need to call anybody, call this guy, but I ain't going to show you nothing because I ain't a thief. So once they saw that I got the card from the same place, coincidentally the same place the school bought the weed eater from, that's where I coincidentally purchased the weed eater from. But what they tried to do, they actually thought that I stole a weed eater, and I had the receipt, I had everything with me, you know what I'm saying? So it never stops. But anyhow, thanks for letting me share, Gus. Now I'm a thief now. On top of everything else now, I'm a thief.
I love it. Tumbling dice, privileged black male out stealing. That's so niggerish, out stealing weed eaters for Christmas. Say like the Grinch, got my little sack. Grinch is non-white. Got my sack, and I just go around and snatch that. I guess he's gonna take it over to the flea market or the pawn shop and say, yeah, I got the school's or weed eater. I'm gonna get their lawnmower too. Yeah. They leave that printer around too long. Bang, get that too, Leroy. Got them sticky fingers. See, man. It does not get any better than tacky. I think that it's brilliant move with, tumbling dice. You don't mind if we look in your vehicle? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's for your protection, talking to victims in general. That is for our protection. You do not let them do that. Who knows what hey, look what we found. You got a vial of crack cocaine. Fentanyl. Who knows? Who knows? In addition to you stole that weed whacker. No. Produce a warrant. I don't care what you have to say. Produce a warrant. Other than that, and real talk, I wouldn't have even shown them the receipt because you know this is not your weed whacker. I'm not saying you did anything incorrect. Just, I don't have to, as you said brilliantly, I don't have to. Where is the warrant? If not, deuces. You got cameras all over this yard, all over this school property. You know this is not your weed whacker. And if you don't know, you should. Whoever does the surveillance should be fired. You have extra security for that too. But no, I'm not showing you my receipt. You cannot go in my vid. Produce a warrant. If you don't have a warrant, there's nothing else to discuss. Period. And again, that's for your, and even with the receipt, that's your protection. Like, no, I'm not letting you look at the receipt. I'm not making you a copy of it. Like, none. My credit card, my information might be on there, or none of that. Like, no, you don't need to know how much I paid for it. None of that. None of that. Produce a warrant. You don't have a warrant? Deuces. And, like I said, you know this is not your weed. I would even say no on the receipt, because what if this had happened to be a time where the weed whacker had been working? Let's just say that. Weed whacker working perfectly, no difficulties, what have you, been taking care of your lawn, beautiful landscaping, best looking yard in the neighborhood. Let's say that. And let's say you packed up your weed whacker, say, hey, I'm going to help out. You know, I'm a constructive dude. My mom or my auntie or my niece or, you know, other black people that I'm cool with got a lawn. I don't have a weed. Hey, I'll bring my weed whacker through and we'll knock it down. 30 minutes, boom. Lawn will be looking, won't be looking good as mine, but it'll be looking pretty good. It could have been that where I don't have the receipt because the weed whacker is working perfectly. I'm going to hook up my homie or my mom or whoever. It could have been that where, ooh, now I don't have the receipt and I don't have the car because it's working perfectly. Produce a warrant, man. You're not going to my, no, I don't have nothing to, all of that is niggerish and beneath me anyway, because I was classified as white. I'm pretty sure you would not be at a, hey, nigger and stuff. Even, is the pause on, is their weed whacker missing? Did you even establish, are they missing a weed whacker? Do you know that, Tumbling Dice?
No, I didn't know, but I believe that a couple of the other people there, the other drivers there, they don't like me, so they figure that they're gonna try to get under my skin by saying that they see me, because they told me that someone saw you put a, that from what I recall now, they say someone said they saw you put the weed eater in the car. I said, man, I left home, come here, parked my car, and went to my bus. This came with me from home. Well, someone said that. Well, who was that someone? Who? Bring him in front of me. I said, I have a right to confront my accuser. So you bring them in front of me, and let them tell me in front of my face that they saw me put the sweet eater in my car. So after I told them that, they kind of got silent, you know. But the weed eater came with me from my house. And because after I got off work, I was going to go take it straight to the company to turn it in to get it fixed, you know?
Weed eater might have been sitting right up in the back whole time, gleaming. Ain't even been used. They've been lazy about that too. Hadn't even been used. Nigger got our weed eater. You mean the one that's sitting around? Shh. Nigger got our weed eater. That's again like one of those, I love it, keeping it short. You all have video, right? Can we get the video of me doing all this with the weed eater? We're going to make this a short conversation. That way I can be in the question. Do you have a warrant? No? Oh. Moving on to, Can we see the video of me stuffing the weed eater into my vehicle? No again? Write all that down. Name, date, time. Nigger stole the weed eater. And see, that's again like they're out snooping in your vehicle. We don't like this Negro. Let's look over there. What? He got a weed in it. It's probably even started the same thing. What is this Negro doing with a weed eater? He stole out because we know Negro didn't go out and buy no weed eater. Buying no weed like he's going to take care of a lawn. He stole out. We'll get him today. He stole our weed eater. Yes. We'll get the police to come. He stole the weed eater and he threatened to rape a white woman. Yes. Looters, see. And that, I can't say again, you cannot be surprised about this sort of thing happening. And your composure, that's why I talk about this all the time. You can't wig out, start cursing out white people and calling them names. And, who you calling? Leroy don't steal weed. Warrant. Video. You have your own code, whatever. It should be short, precise, not yelling, not cursing. Ideally, just asking questions, because it's very likely that you will be accused of pilfering, any and everything. The company car, the stapler, weed eater, you name it. Forks, you name it. You will be accused of taking it. So don't be surprised. Take a few deep breaths. See if you can get to the question. And particularly now, since everybody's under surveillance, hey, do you have video of me? Oh, okay. Do not. I can't emphasize the same reason I give with enforcement officers. Hey, fella, you don't mind if I look at sir, ma'am, I know you're just doing your job, but I do not consent to searches of my person, property, or vehicle without a warrant. If that's what I suggest that you say to someone who has a badge and a gun, someone who has neither, are you serious? Look through my car. What? Man, come on. Now, see, I wouldn't have had that thinking prior to, I don't know what I would have done. Curse him out and WrestleMania again. All that. No. Just one question. Do you have a warrant? No? Oh, okay. Make sure your vehicle is locked and keep it moving. Now, again, keep that in mind. Wow, they were out here snooping and looking at my... Yes. That's why I say don't leave no books in the car, just, sitting out on the seat, out very plainly visible. So all you have to do is kind of look through the window and, oh, ISIS papers. Oh, man, not that sort of thing. Nope. There's no discretion once you're on the property premises of where you work at. That's what you should expect. All kinds of snoop. What kind of car you driving? What does it look like? Is it clean? You got pornography in the front seat and all that. That's what you should expect. Even if you don't have pornography, that's what they're going to go in and say. I think he had a Penthouse magazine. Front seat. What? Master deceivers. And see, they are not ignorant about that. I think we've even heard that one before, where they out snooping around your vehicle. Yeah, young lady said they come and snoop. You didn't park in the same spot today. Yes, thinking about raping you. Yeah, you parked somewhere different today. White people are not ignorant about their niggers. Keep that in mind when you park your vehicle and what's visible in your vehicle. Much obliged. Tumbling, Diane, great job. I can't stress that enough. Tremendous job not permitting a lot, because it's all legit. They say, hey, can I look at your vehicle? Oh, sure, no problem. It's all legit. Then absolutely not. Double check, make sure my alarm is on. Absolutely not. Jesus. Privileged black male tumbling dice. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, retired firefighter in Florida. If you had commentary, should be with us. See if we have other folks, *61.
Greetings. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Greetings to everyone. I have two reports. The first one, I was involved in it, and as you know, I'm not employed, but it was regarding a. I'm hearing background. It was regarding a cashier at a grocery store. One of the fancy grocery stores. It wasn't a Whole Foods, but it was similar to a Whole Foods grocery store. I know I for some reason every now and then have problems with the cashiers, primarily because one thing that I've noticed in some of these grocery stores, what they do is have what I call oral surveys. While you are trying to check out with your card, your debit card or whatever, remember your password, they're asking you questions at the same time. And it's kind of nagging to me, disturbing, while I'm trying to concentrate to finish my business with the grocery store. But anyway, at this particular case, the cashier stated to me with an item that I had that I was purchasing, did you walk in with this? Meaning, did I walk into the grocery store with this product? And I didn't fully understand on what she was getting at. Why would I walk into a grocery store with some food substance? So I asked her, well, you don't recognize this product? You don't recognize this product? Anything. I forgot what she said, anything, something like that. But she sounded like she was having an attitude in the process. This is a white female, somewhere around, I would say, late teens, early 20s. The manager, the person who was the manager, I think, was walking by the area, and he came in and got involved. And I was stating to him on what she was asking me about and whether or not that was appropriate. And he just tried to settle it by stating, well, I'll give it to you for free. And I said, I didn't come in here. I didn't come into the grocery store to get something for free. I just wanted to have a more professional relationship in here to get my products purchased and so I can leave. And automatically this white female kind of switched to the narrative by acting like she was the victim of the situation. But basically I managed to get through the process. One thing I did that may have been a mistake. I guess a little bit of emotion was involved, and I did call her an asshole based on her behavior as I was about to walk out. But anyway, that was the situation with that. I probably will go in there again because I go in there quite a bit. And Miami Gardens, the place where I actually stay at, is a food desert. The next situation that I have is I was looking here at an asphalt company. Did you ever do a report on this asphalt company in Florida that is supposed to pay $1.25 million for race discrimination? I'm just guessing you may have brought it up.
What's the name of the company?
I'm trying to think if it had a name. Did they name it? It doesn't say. The caption just says asphalt company in Florida will pay $1.25 million for race discrimination. It doesn't give a wait a minute. Asphalt Paving Systems Incorporated.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, well, anyway, because I became interested in it because it sounds like something from Memphis in 1968. It states here that black employees were required to work in pouring rain while white co-workers watched. Black employees were denied access to a restroom while white co-workers had access, and black employees were called racial slurs, including the N-word and monkey. And I thought that was interesting. And like I said, it sounds like something that would have taken place, and I just stated one incident that took place in Memphis, Tennessee, that was similar to that, But I'm pretty sure it's a lot of other places. Yeah, it took place back in August, and I would assume between August and now that this $1.25 million were granted to the victims of this. And I thought it was kind of interesting on that. But that's basically it. That's my report on as far as workplace racism is concerned.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. Did not see that report about the asphalt company racism down in Tampa, Florida, but that certainly sounds, workplace racism. The cashier report, that is not workplace racism. That's something I have tried to emphasize over the years. This is just neutralizing workplace racism because you weren't at work when you went to the grocery store. So, that's just general all-purpose white supremacy racism. Great for the compensatory call-in every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for that sort of thing. And we've had that for years where people go out and get discourteous service someplace. That is not something for workplace racism because you're not at work. I thought that would be simple, but I don't know, for whatever reason, that sort of thing is for compensatory call-in. Neutralizing workplace racism should be about when you are at work. We, non-white people, are at work, not when other people are mistreating us on their job. Any hoodles. With the asphalt company, importantly, I will add, I just seen that report he just made us aware of. That for sure is workplace racism. With that one, in addition to everything he said, and can't go to the bathroom, work in the rain, and that's another one, equal protection under the law. How is it that we can't go to the bathroom, but the white people can? In addition to all of that being called monkey and negra, again, why I said you cannot be stunned, surprised about white people practicing racism on the job, being accused of stealing the weed whacker. You have to be aware, we're in a system of white supremacy racism. This sort of thing is bound, likely to happen. Just how am I going to respond? Hopefully asking a really great question. But in addition to all that, the EEOC government website reports that the hostile work environment was exacerbated by physically threatening conduct such as managers and supervisors, white, bringing guns to work sites and in one instance reaching for a gun. Leadership at APS, that's the asphalt company, Tampa's location, witnessed and received complaints about the employees' racist treatment, but APS took no action to correct it. Now that is staggering to me. If you have got reports that white managers and supervisors are bringing firearms to the job, and someone reached for it, like, what? What? I mean, I have been on some, jobs where the rules don't apply and it's, kind of you can do whatever you want to without fear of punishment. But brandishing a firearm is, wow, that is, wow. That would definitely be a job. Now, some jobs you already know I'm not going to be here for 10 years. White people, where we're not an enforcement agency, what have you, and they're brandishing firearms on the workplace. Now, Gavin DeBecker, the gift of fear. I can't even say that is a red flag. I mean, that is neon. Get out of here right now. Right now. Right now. What in the world? I can't even imagine, man, brandishing firearms in the workplace? White people kill for fun. Wow. Jeez, that should be at the top of the report. Yes, called us nigger and monkey and all that. Brandishing a firearm and reaching. What is the context for that? What were we doing where it's up, I've had just enough of your lip, Leroy. Where is my Ruger at? Do what? Jesus. Safety in the workplace. Any job where white people bring guns to the job, now that is a dangerous place. Lauren with us talked about where white man threatened to shoot her on a job. Now imagine you work someplace where they regularly bring in my Glock all shined up in it and get mouthy today, Lauren, see what happened. What? What? Come on, man. That in 2025, that shouldn't even be allowed. I mean, unless you're on a farm or something, you're in Alaska and you might have to shoot a bear or something like that. If you're just in an office, why are you bringing a firearm to work? Even if you're on a construction site, unless you're doing construction in Alaska, unless something like that, no. Why are you doing construction in Poughkeepsie or Iowa or Washington, D.C.? Why do you need a firearm? What do you think is going to happen out us putting up the scaffolding? Come on, man. Much less, it's not even that you think it's a threat of somebody's going to come in to do something to us. It's, old Leroy down there getting mouthy. I see you, Leroy. Ask for a special chair if you want to. What? Do what? Come on, man. You should not be firearms in the workplace. We've had enough office shootings and disgruntled employees. No firearms, unless you're law enforcement, something like that. No firearms in the workplace. That would be an enormous red flag for me. Brandishing, no. What in the world? Man, let's see. I guess that must be another one, too, because we've heard a lot of that, too, in terms of reference to firearms and firearms paraphernalia and the magazines and all the rest of it. So you had non-white guests on the program where a white person put a bullet on her desk. Man, be prepared. White violence is so ubiquitous. You should have a code for responding to white violence, firearms, anything of that nature, because it's such a constant threat under the system of white supremacy racism, even in the workplace. Let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Other folks have commentary. Let us know. Still looking. If you have suggestions, if white people and or your supervisors, period, do they call you on your personal time when personal phone, call, ask you questions and that sort of goofiness? If you have any tips to neutralize that, let us know. Certainly if you have your own difficulties, problems in the workplace, we'll do our best, see if we can offer a suggestion or two, but folks that have figured out how to stop all of that, if you're just not answering the phone, if that gets it done, right on. I'm all about those preemptive emails and such, scheduled preemptive emails. Let's see. If we missed anybody, other folks have commentary that they want to make sure they share. Let us see. See, we'll give folks like 5 minutes, see if they have additional questions, commentary they would like to share. Again, we'll be here on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Compensatory call-in. We'll review news updates from the past 7 days or so. Catch up on what has happened on the plantation, and then the whole, holiday season and such, how folks are navigating that as best they can, especially if you have children. I guess that makes it a little more challenging if you have young people and they want to see all the cartoons and Santa and gifts, and having to explain how all of that supports white Jesus and the system of white supremacy racism. But we'll deal with all of that tomorrow. Anywho, let's see. Making sure for the workplace over the holiday season, if you have any of your time off days, anything of that nature, I would check policy and procedure. Make sure you do not lose any constructive benefits as we transition to 2025. If you have like personal days or any of those other days that do not roll over, as they say, as in you use it or lose it as we transition to 2025, man, put that time, if you have to put requests in because it's still relatively early for the month, man, put those requests in there. If you have to put it in this weekend, do it. I'm all about, not leaving things, resources, constructive on the board. They don't want to pay us anyway. They don't want to give us, days off, vacation days, all the rest of it anyway. So do not lose anything that is sick days, that too. That even if it's just you sit home and do your laundry, or, try out your vegan macaroni and cheese recipe, whatever. No lost constructive resources in the workplace. If you get a bonus or what have you, I hope it is obese. You can put it to constructive use, but no law. If they roll over, whoopee, save all that stuff. Hopefully you won't need it, but you can save all that stuff for when, a major emergency comes up, which is likely under the system of white supremacy racism. Again, if you develop any tips as we kind of move through the month of December, if you figure out any tips, strategies on how to deal with all of the holiday foolishness in the workplace, please share. It can be adjusted too, because you might have a slightly different code. As we heard, if you get paid, like if they're going to have whatever the shindig is at work during office hours, as opposed to if this is going to be like an after hours type of a thing at a bar or whatever. Let us know how you figured out how to navigate that. I know some people have taken their offspring to these events, right? Because sometimes you have to. You don't have a sitter and whatever. Taking their offspring, and they, talked about the impact that had, and then the people there get to see your children. I probably would be on the side of no children, because then the white people there have access to your children, and now that's a reference point where they can ask, and how are they doing, and how old are they, and less contact, the better, in my view. But let us know how you, are getting through all that for the rest of the month for the workplace. I'd probably have a pretty similar code around that, even if I worked with a lot of non-white people, because I wouldn't expect them to necessarily be codified or even constructive, especially if we're going to be doing something in like a bar or someplace with liquor, because sometimes they don't have it at a bar per se, but they have it at a place with alcohol, an abundance of alcohol. It could even be somebody's house. They have their own private bar and that sort of thing. So, Any hoodles. Definitely here Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and then you can check social media and the schedule for other days as I kind of get back in the groove from being gone for so long on the grind in California. So glad that I was able to bring back grapefruits, pomegranates, California produce. Nothing beats it in the world thus far, although they do have really great produce in Hawaii too. Any hoodles, double check and make sure we didn't miss any folks who have commentary, observations to share. Did we miss anybody? Let's see. Folks got everything together, hopefully. Didn't miss anybody with commentary. Compensatory call-in, we're always welcome for workplace racism anyway. But we'll be here mañana. Feel free to invest now that we're back in California and only travel plans going back to Buffalo for the trial of Peyton Gendron. But that is way down the road. Thankfully, I can hang out in Seattle and do constructive work here. You can invest, hit the blog, racism-notes.blogspot.com, racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button in the top right corner. Enormous gratitude to all the folks who have kept us on the air for it'll be 16 years in February. 'Cause we had 2 Obama terms. Be our 5th presidential administration. We had 2 Obama terms, 1 Trump, 1 Biden. Trump's second time around coming up. Through and through, counter-racist broadcasting. 16 years. Hopefully we have been constructive more often than not. Certainly you can invest. Hit the Amazon wish list. Listed under Gus T. Renegade. Enormous gratitude again for all of the investors who've nabbed an item or 12 from the list over our 16 years on the air. Hopefully we have been worthy of your time and energy. Probably should say it for the whole month. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy racism. Man, they will be looking because they know they will have office parties and all the Christmas parties and all the rest of the nonsense, and people will be intoxicated and on the road. Get an Uber. Really, they got all of the self-driving vehicles and all the rest of the madness. Hey, you can get transportation without getting behind the wheel and running over somebody. Talk about ruin your holiday and maybe even somebody else's. Sobriety would be best, especially if you have younger motorists. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name calling, no gossiping, no throwaway offspring, no name calling black people. Religion of name calling black people. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.